I'd start with you, Diane, because Manulife has been involved with the Triac Council since its inception. Can you walk us through some of the programs that Manulife has put in place to reach out to immigrant job seekers in different ways?
Well, I think the programs that we were involved in evolved from the Triac program, which we were early participants in, and therefore we joined everything. But we were involved in the internship program and the mentoring programs. We'd always had a very diverse workforce. But somehow the way the programs, they had been just generally reflecting the community, but the Triac initiative was very focused on newly arrived immigrants and the issues that they had. And so the programs were a little bit different and they were more disciplined. And so in particular, I think the internship program was the most differentiating and effective, and it made us react differently because it was a responsibility. We were taking on a commitment. We made this decision that we were going to take in 5 a year and so on. We funded it centrally. We didn't want any excuses. And then when managers actually got a hold of these resources, they felt this extra burden too, to do something special, to stand back, be more respectful of ideas and so on. And we found in the process that they benefited, that they found that they always knew that they could, newly arrived foreign trained people could integrate quickly into the workforce, but nobody had actually structured the listening process quite that effectively. And they found that that different perspective was really useful. They got to better solutions, and the group as a whole benefited in each of the work groups that did it. And so I think that was a very positive thing. That then led to successes, which we celebrated, and that led to hires, which we celebrated, and it became a bit of a virtuous circle. But I think in general it made us more observant, better listeners, more culturally sensitive, and the managers that were involved in the process, they then became better managers, better trained for the next job, and because we're a very international company, they become ideal candidates for being sent somewhere else other than in Canada. So it was a very positive thing. We also did the mentorship, and we still do. We have about 50 mentors out there, and we use that as a huge development opportunity for our up-and-comers. So nearly all of the programs have found an application, and not one of them has not been successful or had longer-term benefits. We had some bumps along the road because we weren't quite sure what. We were early starters on this, and we were learning as we went too. But I'm very pleased, and it's so institutionalized now. I think it's a permanent benefit.
Before we move on, it's clear from what you're saying that these kinds of programs became a strategic priority. Why is that? What's the business case? Why is this a benefit to the company?
Well, the benefit for the company is, I think, some of those unexpected things that I was telling you about. But the business case to us was pretty clear. We obviously understood the demographics, and we are head office in Toronto, and we're proud to be head office in Toronto. So we realized that we needed to make that kind of a commitment if we were going to have that labor force in the future. But we're not just employers in Toronto. We are residents of Toronto. And at that time, Toronto was beginning to experience some very serious social challenges. And the Toronto City Summit Alliance had not only made the case around immigration, but they were making a very strong case that if we did not successfully integrate immigrants, that there would be very serious damage in terms of marginalizing the workers, but also putting their children and their families at risk in the process, and we didn't want that to happen either. So we felt we had a really big double stake in making this work.